Hey, everybody out there. Linda Bean, Community Outreach Coordinator from the Kellyanne Dolan Memorial Fund. Thank you for joining us today for Shining a Light. When I moved to Pennsylvania nearly 20 years ago, I was really struck by how communities come together to support others when they're in their time of need. Neighbors helping neighbors. Perfect example is the recent Hurricane Ida, in the Upper Dublin community, my hometown, who really rallied to support their neighbors in need with housing, with meals, with chainsaws, with cleanups. It's a very special characteristic in Montgomery County. It's also in the way that the Dolan Fund was really born nearly 46 years ago, when the St. Anthony's community and the community of Greater Ambler rallied around Peggy and Joe Dolan in their time of grief in losing their beautiful daughter, Kellyanne, to support them in their dream in honoring her legacy and her bright light in helping other families in need. We're all about putting resources in the hands of families, so I am delighted today to bring a local resource really in our backyard, the Willow Charitable Fund, and I want to welcome board member Matt Eckelmeyer.
Hi, Linda.
Hey, Matt.
Good morning.
Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing great this morning. It's a beautiful winter day out there. Sun is shining. And it's always a great thing when I can talk to a friend or colleague who wears many hats. But today you're joining us as board member of the Willow Charitable Fund. And I'd love to just dive right in. Tell me about
Sure.
the history and the mission behind the fund.
Great. First off, I just want to thank Linda for the opportunity. Willow Charitable Fund has been around for about 51 years. We didn't start as Willow Charitable Fund. We basically started about regarding a golf outing. Greater Willow Grove Golf Open was our fundraiser. The primary mission at that time was really to raise funds for the local Second Alarmers Rescue Squad, which was just starting up at that time. Thankfully, we were able to help them buy their first rig at that time, and then we continue to support them on an annual basis from year to year. Thankfully, with our success in raising funds throughout the years, we have been able to expand our reach and really go directly to helping individuals and families within the community. As you mentioned, neighbors helping neighbors. There's no better way to say it. That's what we do. We raise money to basically put in the hands of those individuals or families that are in need, that have they need a little financial bridge to get over, the hump, if you will. And we've had a lot over the last 2.5 years due to this type of pandemic. So now we are trading as Willow Charitable Fund, and that's who we are. Is that good so far?
Yeah, that is fantastic. It's an incredible resource. And you mentioned, the last 2 years in our modern time have been like no other. Families setting up virtual classrooms, schooling their kids, missing work. And when we look at the inflation rates now too, I mean, everything is on the rise. So let's get into what type of, I believe you kind of coined it, emergency funding if a family comes to you. So what type of grants are you typically making to a family?
Great question. We are the requests that come into us are anywhere from need assistance with 1 month's rent, 1 month's mortgage, fixed expenses of a household, whether it's God forbid putting the heat and the light back on, which we have done, taking care of some overdue sewer bills and what have you, filling up an oil tank. Actually installing oil tanks. We've actually paid for oil tanks to be installed or say heaters to be replaced. Another area which we've gotten into is, I'm going to say, durable medical equipment. If a local family or individual is in need of a certain piece of equipment, we get together with our board and maybe potentially other organizations to fund it, because they're so vital. They may not be covered by insurance for the individual or the family, and that's kind of where we step in to help out in those scenarios.
Well, great resource. I'm curious. We just collaborated with a contractor to put in a ramp for a family with a child that was in need. Would that be something that you would consider if there needed to be kind of a minor adaptation to a home for a child with a medical condition or disability?
That would be considered, no doubt. And a lot of it is based on the financial need as well. And we have our process put together or set up to look at all those requests and then make a decision for sure.
Well, and that's a great segue into my next question. And you're talking about eligibility requirements. Can you walk us through the process? If there's a family out there or a caseworker or a school counselor that's listening to this today, how would they access and walk through this process?
Great question. We, as an organization, we have 15 volunteer board members that run the organization on a day-to-day basis, but we don't have the built-in ability to vet certain requests that come to us. So we partner with local, I'm going to say churches, local social workers, actually even local hospitals, as well as elected officials' offices, where individuals and families can go to them directly. They know who Willow Charitable Fund is. So if a family or individual walks into an office or discusses it with their local church where there is a need, maybe that specific organization can't help, but they know to reach out to us via email primarily. That is the most efficient way. We have info@willowcharitablepfund.org available. It comes directly to me as chair of the giving committee. We have 5 individuals on our committee. I get that email out to them in a matter of seconds or minutes. And in most cases, we have a response within the hour, and then either can make the payment over the phone or deliver a check or deliver Target gift cards or whatever that would be to the individual family and or the organization that actually requesting the grant.
That's great. So you're really just treating it really as a case by case basis. There's no formal like submission of tax returns or that in that regard to vet them.
No, it really is a trust basis where we have the
Sure.
trust with those individuals or those organizations that are talking with the family or individual in need. They get a good feeling of the situation,
Sure.
and we really have to trust their instincts to make sure that the need is real and our impact will be perfect.
Well, you talk about the need being real. You mentioned utilities. I was in need of filling my oil tank, and I had to do a double take when I learned that it's 75 cents more a gallon since 2 months ago when I filled it up. So the need is real to keep houses warm, and particularly I think of the families that we serve where climate control is really such a vital element of the well-being and health of the child. So it's great that you can come in that time of need. You've seen locally there was a tragic story in Bucks County, another big fire in Lansdale, but where the communities really rallied around these families to provide financial support to get them set up back in stable housing, clothing, and those sorts of needs. I imagine if a local organization or Abington Hospital came to you with that kind of need, that's something that the trust would really want to consider carefully and supporting.
No doubt. It really is a matter of getting individuals and families back on their feet to sustain themselves. We're more of an empowering type thing. We're not there to sustain, if you will. By all means, Abington, we work with Asplund Cancer Center Pavilion, and they come to us because they're with a family or individual battling cancer. Typically, financial issues just make the recovery potentially worse. So we try and take that financial burden off of them, whatever the situation might be, whether it's overdue invoices for something or other, or taking care of the overhead for being a homeowner. That's where we want to be.
That's where we align beautifully as 2 different organizations. And, we can only serve as many families as we have available funding for, which we raise through grant writing, private donors, and fundraising. not through government funding. So it's an incredible resource for us when we have a family that lives within, sorry, you've got a guest appearing on the
Good
screen.
little fellow.
Uh, to be able to have another local resource, just as we have come to the Jenkintown Day Family Foundation as well for support. So many collaborative opportunities between us, which is just fantastic. We're both small organizations, so I imagine, Matt, it's similar for you. It's getting the word out that you exist. You've got these financial resources. You want to be able to help families in your backyard and the surrounding suburbs. But it's not that easy, is it? People being aware as small charities that you exist.
No. Before we went live, I mentioned, we had at times been the best kept secret in the Willow Grove area or surrounding community. That's not what we want to be. We're increasing our awareness on I'm going to say the donation side. As an organization, we've done very well in raising funds, whether it's through our functions that we have each year. The Taste of Willow Grove is something that we've sponsored the last few years. Well, due to COVID, we haven't had it the last 2 years. We typically have it in the spring. And then the golf outing, which we've had for 51 years, is typically in September or October, depending on a hurricane, is when we raise most of our money with. But on the other side of things, we want to give the money away as well. We don't want it sitting in our bank accounts just, to sit there. We need it out there in the community at work. And it has been a challenge. There's no doubt. Whether you think that the pandemic has created such a greater need. Yes, I agree. There is a greater need, but we're not getting as many requests as you would think on a monthly, weekly, daily basis. From March of 2020, which we thought we would have been inundated, which unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately, we weren't. People were taken care of to a degree, whether it's state, local, as well as federal. So, at some point, I think we're going to see an uptick, and hopefully this type of thing where we're sharing our information with you guys, will give us a broader reach.
Hope that will be the ripple effect. One piece that I just want to clarify before we talk about the golf tournament and how we can support you. Can families access eligibility or not eligibility, or is the preference that it really goes through, similar to our model, where it goes through the healthcare professional? Is it an organization that you work with that brings a family to you, or could a family reach out directly to the fund?
Good question. As all of our volunteer board, we don't have the ability to be ready, available on a 24-hour basis, if you will, to start taking requests. What we typically want is that individual or family to at least talk with either a local official or church or someone within our network. And if they don't have someone within our network, we'll refer them to that individual. For at least a lot of cases, they'll go out and meet with the individual or family, see what the situation is in their home, what they're living with, what they need help with. That is the best we do, and it's worked out pretty well. Where if someone hasn't spoken with somebody, I'll refer them to a parish in Willow Grove, I don't know, or a local elected official who has people on staff to just really conduct an interview, whether they're in person or over the phone. That's all we're really looking for. So then the request would be sent to us via email, and then we would act on it.
Good to know. I just wanted to make sure the process was streamlined. And just to kind of capture the geographic region, when we're talking about the greater Willow Grove area, Matt, can you tell me which suburbs we're really talking about that families would be eligible for coming to you?
Sure. Yep, sure. Our service area is all residents of Upper Moreland Township, and then any township that would border Upper Moreland Township. I mean, you have Horsham, you have Abington, you have, I think, even parts of Southampton, Upper Dublin. Those Lower Moreland all border Upper Moreland Township. So anyone within that area, geographic area, is really technically our service area.
Wow, that's a pretty big far reach and a couple pretty large school districts, in Abington for sure that you're, and Horsham as well. So it's great to know that you reach that far. The golf tournament, as you mentioned, it's really been the cornerstone and how you really, came to be as a charitable organization. I did see on the website that you are, I believe, sold out for golfers for the 2022, but is that accurate? And are you still looking for sponsors?
Well, actually, we need to update our website. Our golf outing
Okay.
in September of 2022 is going to happen. We
Okay.
do have a date. I think it's the either 17th or something like that. It's I think it's going to be a Monday or a Tuesday. It is not sold out at this point. Last year, actually, the last 2 years, we even with COVID, we've been sold out. We had to turn golfers away. And the area that we need to focus on in that case is really sponsors. If there are additional sponsors that come in that aren't able to golf, that would be ideal. Thankfully, we've been around for 51 years. The local community, the golfers keep coming back year after year, and they see what we do. And we must be doing something right because we are getting sold out. And we'd like to also focus on, hopefully, when we get back to all in-person stuff, our Taste of Willow Grove, which hopefully will be, I don't think it'll be this spring, but hopefully, spring of 2023, we can get back out there and have that event.
We can both relate on that because we have a similar taste event every
Mm-hmm.
spring, and we're not able to put that on this spring either. Well, send your golfers over our way for our May 12th golf tournament at 1912. And we'll
Okay.
try to return the favor in sending golfers and sponsors back your way for the fall. See how we can help one another out since we really align in the work that we're doing for families. So just to kind of wrap up, Matt, how would
Mm-hmm.
we reach the fund in if it was somebody wanting to reach out for more information or to present a family to you?
Sure. Initially, really to find out more about us, there's a lot in our website at willowcharitablepund.org. You see the email address there as well. That comes directly to me. So any kind of email that is sent to that address, I act on very quickly. If it's just information, be happy to provide. If it is actually, someone who has a family or is the family or individual that needs help, by all means, we'll listen through that email, and then I can refer you to one of our partners for interviews. That's the one area that would require to be done, because unfortunately there has been some situations where they haven't completely been accurate. So we'd like to avoid
Sure.
that. So the website has information about our events. It also gives an idea of real actual expenses that we have paid. There's a long list on there, and the list is much longer than that. And I think I'd like to just mention one more thing that we
Sure.
started with the second alarmers, if you don't mind. Over the
Sure.
years, we've helped second alarmers with, I'm going to say, physical capital, meaning we bought bikes so the second alarmers can ride around the Hatboro Christmas parade. We've bought devices actually that they used on their rigs to save lives, and thankfully we've actually saved 2 lives in the last few years with devices that we purchased. This year they're having a very tough time getting workers, getting employees, EMTs through training, and we've decided to set up a scholarship program through the Willow Charitable Fund to recruit individuals who want to go through EMT training and then commit to working with second alarmers over the years. We just started it within the last couple months, and we have 2 candidates already that are in the system, and we're rewarding them as they go along and graduating through their steps to become an EMT. And then I think we're committing roughly $25,000 or $30,000 over the next 3 to 5 years for that. And if it is more successful, then we would consider doing more. We feel that second alarmers, it's an organization. Yes, they've been around for a long time, but they specifically help our geographic area, the individuals within that area. So we feel that by giving to them, it'll only improve the lives of individuals within our service area.
Love that. You know, as a mother of a Philadelphia firefighter who's been working insane amounts of overtime,
Yeah.
you're creating opportunities for an individual that may not have the funding to actualize a dream of theirs, and you know, keep the community safe. So
Yeah, no
incredible
doubt.
program. You know, Matt, can't
Mhm.
thank you enough for spending some time with us today on two fronts. You know, keeping the community safe through the initiative that you just mentioned, and really, you know, living your mission and the words of neighbors helping neighbors. It's, you know, the best of humanity that we represent when we take care of our own. So thanks so much.
My pleasure. I appreciate we appreciate the opportunity, and Willow Charitable Fund only is going to get better in the future. So again, thank you for your time, and would love to collaborate more.
You bet. You bet. We'll be in touch.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks everybody for joining us today. Here's the information to get in contact with Willow Charitable Fund. Do something kind today. Kindness really matters out there. Today was about touching lives and supporting neighbors. So do your best, and we'll catch you in a few weeks.